Hey guys, we're out here looking a little bit rough, but you will not catch me getting ready just to video for an assignment. So let's go. So the association that I chose to look up was the American Nurses Association. They have a ton of information, and I honestly didn't really understand what they were before I did this assignment. So who can join? Basically anyone. The main people that join are RNs, LPNs, nursing students, and retired nurses. But if you work in the healthcare or any nursing organization, you can also join. And then they even had listed that non-nursing professionals can join as well. So huge variety. Membership cost, I found this kind of interesting because I was not expecting it to be a lot. But it just kind of depends on the type of membership and your location. So they have two types of membership options. You can either do a membership on a national level or a membership on a national and state level. And the national level is a bit cheaper. Excuse me. So only memberships on a national level cost $191 annually. So once a year you just pay that fee, or you can split that up by month. If you have a membership on a national and state level, it can cost anywhere from $200 to $500, and I think that just kind of depends on the state that you are in. So it can be kind of pricey to be a part of this organization. A interesting fact that I found is that the average age of members are actually 46 years old. So I know that's just kind of average, and you might have some on the upper end and the lower end, but around 46 is what they are seeing in most people. So, legislative involvement. So, the American Nursing Association is active in both policy and advocacy. They're really big in advocating on behalf of nurses. That's kind of one of their big things that they do. And then publications. The American Nursing Association provides positional statements on their website. A lot of the information that you can find will be on their website. They also published the American Nurse Journal, and there's also an American Nursing Association Standards of Practice guidebook. And that is on their website, and it just kind of helps nurses provide safe and competent patient care. So from their American Nursing Association positional statement and ethics, so my top 5 takeaways from this is that it provides nurses with specific actions to protect and promote human rights in every practice setting. I like that it kind of goes into multiple practice settings because we're not all in a hospital. Some of us are at home health or like long-term care facilities, that type of thing as well. So nurses strengthen practice environments by refusing to practice in ways that would create a negative impact on the quality of care. I found this super interesting because I think it applies to us a lot that you might come across people who are not necessarily following the guidelines that they should or doing the things that they should be doing. And just because somebody else is taking shortcuts or doing something that they shouldn't be doing doesn't mean that we should participate in that as well. So we strengthen practice environments by refusing to practice in incorrect ways. Something else I took away from this is that nurses must reaffirm and strengthen nursing values and ideals with a united voice. I think whether it's your unit, your hospital, the facility, whatever it is, you have to be united. You have to be on the same page and be able to speak as one voice. If you've got everybody coming out with different opinions and different, it's strengths are in the numbers. You gotta be together, united. Something else I found kind of interesting is that their positional statement was released in June 14th of 2010, so we're going on about 15 years of that being released, and they kind of tweak it here and there. Another thing is that nurses in every practice setting serve on ethics committees. So because of that, we're kind of getting to see, get information from all different practice settings. We're not just hearing from people in hospitals, people in home health, people in care facilities, that type of thing. Like, we're getting people from everywhere, getting everybody's opinion, and putting it all into one to kind of come up with what we think. So, discuss how you will advocate for human rights for your patients as a future clinician. So, first, I'll be educated on how to advocate for human rights for my patients. And just kind of reading the ANA statement, just kind of saying that, I'll do my part to keep the work environment one that, is open for like feedback and change. We need to communicate, we need to be united, like I said. And then I'll also correct poor behavior that I see and not participate in it myself, because I want to read that again. What did it say? Nurses strengthen practice environments by refusing to practice in ways that would create a negative impact on the quality of care. So that's kind of how I plan to advocate for human rights. And also, if somebody else is uneducated, then I can do my part to educate them or refer them to resources that can educate them. Reflect on professionalism in nursing and how you see your professional identity as a nurse. I know who I am as a person, and I know that I don't treat people differently based on their background or, I just, like, something that I had happen recently is we actually had an inmate come into my capstone at the PACU, and he had, like, the sheriff's, like, officers with him, like, in the PACU, and, it was kind of an interesting environment, but I treated that patient with just as much respect as I would treat, someone's grandma. Like, it doesn't matter. That's my professionalism, is that I'm not going to treat anybody differently based on their background or where they come from or how much money they have or how they're treating me. As a nurse, we have to remain professional because it doesn't just reflect on us as a person, but it also reflects on our facility and where we're working, and we just need to remain professional. Another thing is just, kind of following that, what do we call it? Chain of command. So if I'm having problems with somebody, I think that's a big situation where we see people being unprofessional, is if they're having problems with a coworker or a patient, and that's kind of where some unprofessionalism comes out. Follow that chain of command, talk to the person first, try and resolve it with them. You're bound to have some issues with some people, but if you go about it professionally, be professional, and just like I said, it doesn't just reflect on you, but it reflects on your facility. And so that's kind of how I see my professionalism. So I know my morals, I know my ethics, I know I'm not going to treat people differently, I know I'm not going to take shortcuts. And if those opportunities, like, present themselves to me, then I'm going to turn them down. And if I see somebody doing the same, then I feel that it's my responsibility to go and educate them. So